各位现场的来宾们，大家早安，大家好。我们今日的活动将
Good morning, everyone. Our event this morning will start on time at 10 a.m. Taiwan time. So we will start in 2 minutes. Please get ready for our participants on site. Please get seated.
This meeting is being recorded.
Good
morning, dear participants. Welcome all of you to the 2025 Asia Network of Industrial Heritage ANI International Correspondents Exchange Meeting. I'm your host for today, and I would like to welcome you to this very important dialogue. This event is organized by the Bureau of Cultural Heritage of the Ministry of Culture and executed by ANI. We have over 10 something international correspondents gathered here today to discuss these very important topics. Here, we'd like to welcome our distinguished officials, Director General, Deputy Director Joe from the Bureau of Cultural Heritage. We also have with us the Chair of the ANI Advisory Committee, Professor Lin Xiaowei. We're very grateful to the support, the long-term support of the Bureau of Cultural Heritage and also the support of the entire ANI network. We also have with us our scholars from Slovakia, Korea, India, Indonesia. We have over 12 of you all gathered here to participate in this exchange meeting. We also have experts, young scholars on site and on site Together, we have expertise from urban planning, cultural heritage preservation, and many other disciplines. Through today's exchange, we hope we can open up to more chances for future collaboration. Now we'd like to welcome Deputy Director Zhou to say a few words for our welcoming remarks for today's exchange meeting. Let's welcome Deputy Director Zhou. We'd like to thank all of our international correspondents online and also on site. We'd also would like to extend a big welcome to all of our participants here and also our online audience. I think our host has clearly outlined the purpose of this exchange meeting. The Fengjia University, its entire team, its brand new team is here to support our network. Starting from 2018 till now, every year we have 1 or 2 exchange meetings. And through this network, we hope to expand the community of the international correspondents through our constant exchange, through our very dedicated practice. We hope to continue to foster and expand our network. So the topic of today of this year's network is network connection and youth participation. Here, I'm very grateful to Annie for organizing these exchange meetings, inviting relevant experts and also international correspondents in these different disciplines. And I would like to wish this exchange meeting a great success. I'd like to thank Deputy Director Zhou. And here we're going to take a photo together. We'd like to invite our experts online and also our participants on site to come to the front of the venue, and we're going to take a photo together. So here, we'd like to invite our participants online. Please remember to turn on your camera. Please switch on your camera, and we're going to take a group photo virtually together and also with the participants on site.
Hello.
I want to say hi to our participants online. Here we're going to take a group photo together. Are we missing anyone? Okay, I think we have everyone. So here, for our international correspondents online, please look into your camera. On a countdown, 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, and our photographer on site is also capturing this moment. We're going to also do a thumbs up. So let's do a thumbs up together. Thank you. Thank you. So here, would like to have our participants return back to your seat. On site, our photographer is taking another photo from the front. This is a rare occasion for all of us to gather together on site here in our exchange meeting venue. We also have the signs, poster signs prepared for all of you. 3, 2, 1. Okay. A great applause. Once again, we'd like to welcome all of you, and we're very happy to gather here together. So now, without further ado, we'd like to welcome the chair of the ANIH Advisory Committee, Professor Lin Xiaowei, to come to the front and to open this exchange meeting.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to join today's ANIH International Correspondent Exchange Meeting. I'm very happy to see many of you here. And I'm Xiaowei Lin. I teach in the Department of Architecture in Zhongyuan Christian University. The Asia Network of Industrial Heritage, established in year 2018, is celebrating its 7th anniversary meeting already this year. And currently, ANIH works with 21 international correspondents from 10 countries and across the Asia Pacific and beyond the 7 correspondents all over the world. And today we have 7 correspondents on site. And thank you very much to join us today. And today's agenda, and I put a little bit background for the ANI's background. So here you can see on the, we are initiated in 2012 and established in 2018. Then next, please. Yeah. And this is our structure. And currently, these are the map of our correspondent. And we are very glad that we have so many participants today. Yeah. And ANI's regular activities, we have the international forum regularly once a year. And also the important things is like today, we have the international correspondent exchange meetings. And plus, we have a lot of ANI's webinars. And this is how we can exchange information and learn from each other. So this is just some pictures to let you know about our progress in the past. And today, our agenda is the first, we will have our new project manager of ANI platform by Dr. Yuzhen Lai. She's going to tell us a little bit about international correspondent recruitment and also some forthcoming events. Then the second part, we are going to have our exchange information. So we divide to have 2 sections. Each of them have a related subject. So the first part will be about networking connections. The second part about youth participation. The procedure will according to the existing one. This is just to share you about a different subject. So first, I would like to introduce Dr. Lai for introduce the recruitment.
Okay, thank you. 谢谢小薇老师。很感谢大家今天的共同莅临参与这个 ANI 平台的一个交流会议，不论是在实体或者是线上的一个交流会议，我们很希望这样子会议能够协助文化部文资局在
and together we get to support the cultural heritage preservation work here in Taiwan and also in Asia. Through this platform, we hope to exchange with each other all of the experts, scholars from this cultural heritage community. We can share with all of us our practices, the programs that we are implementing. This is a great platform to exchange and also share great practices. Here with ANI, we have our official website. The official website collects a lot of the research studies that you have conducted, a lot of your presentation and papers. We also hope to share them on our website. There's also a lot of social media venues, and through the ANI Facebook page and also our social media presence, we hope to enhance the visibility of many of these studies taking place around the world, and we really hope to support you with making your research visible. Through this platform, we also want to build closer ties. We hope all of us can connect deeper through this network. So in the ANI network and platform, All of you, you are the international correspondents from different countries around the world. We really want to encourage you to share and also to refer, to invite. If you have other colleagues who have a lot of passion, enthusiasm for cultural heritage, or you have colleagues who are engaging in interesting works, please continue to refer more of your colleagues to join our ANI network. So for the ANI International Correspondents, we'd like to invite you, encourage you to refer, to recommend more colleagues of yours. We also have a recruit system. We have an advisory committee. We also like to especially invite practitioners, researchers. We invite you to be in touch with us, to be in touch with our advisory committee so we can further expand our network. All of you, you are ready, ANI International Correspondents. So through this network, we continue to share with each other. Through this platform, we are very committed to support your studies, programs, research, projects. Would like to encourage all of you to share with each other, and that's why we are organizing these exchange meetings. We'd like to really encourage the participation of all of our international correspondents. We'd also like to encourage you to recommend, to refer more of your colleagues to join our network.
在9月8号到11号，我们有一个
We are also going to organize an ANI International Workshop on Cultural Heritage in mid-September in 2025. The venue will be at Jiayi, Tainan. We are showcasing the Alishan Forest Railway. It is a very important cultural heritage for us. Along the railway, there's a lot of history, to showcase architect, industrial heritage, the railway stations, railway infrastructure. There's a lot of interesting engineering heritage that we'd like to share with you. There's also the 100-year locomotive that is still running. So the culture, the history, the context of it is something that we'd like to highlight in this workshop. And that's why here I would like to take this occasion to invite you to our ANI International Workshop on Cultural Heritage. We will have practitioners workshop. We also have presentations. We'd like to invite all the participants at the workshop to showcase these outcomes. So we only have a limited number of seats for this international workshop. We'd like to invite you to submit your application. Our advisory committee will also be reviewing the applications. And here I would like to invite our international correspondents to take part in this international workshop. For all of our international correspondents, no matter where you're from, we encourage you to apply. We will subsidize, we will provide free transportation and also local accommodation. We will cover all the local expenses, but participants are required to cover their own airfare. Yet all the local expenses will be covered by ANI. So this is the upcoming international workshop on cultural heritage that will take place in September. And I would like to encourage all of you to submit your application. I'd like to thank Professor Lin and also Professor Lai. I think Professor Lin still has a few words that he'd like to share.
Introduction. I think this year we have a new team to work for ANI, and we will also bring some new atmosphere for the setting. Okay, so are you going? Okay, all right.
好，那我们用掌声谢谢小薇老师的引言，谢谢。好，在我们今天的第一场议程之前，我们也要跟大家
For this morning, I would also like to take this opportunity to share with all of you we have this surprise, this gift. We'd especially like to thank all the participants. So we have provided these specially prepared local treats that reflect the local culture of this military dependence village community in Taiwan. It is this local treat for all of our participants on site. So now let's welcome our first presentation. He is Professor Lan Zhiwen. He is a professor at the China University of Technology, Department of Architecture. He's going to talk about the Bamberg's Erba Textile Factory. Let's welcome Professor Lan.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Zhiwen. I'm very honored and very happy to be here. Now,
good morning.
I will present this rehabilitation of industrial heritage in Bamberg, in Germany. As we know, Bamberg is a medieval world heritage. So the impression of this town, that is a small town, is medieval churches and beer. And this is very important part of my life because this is the city that I live for over 9 years. I study here and I know deeply about the process of its change. At the beginning of this small town, it was revival 2 times. At the first time, it has only old people there, and the city is always look not so renewable. So at that time, the government think if we want to revival this city, we should involve some new thing. So the government think they will establish a university. And the university is the Bamberg University that I started. That is the first time that the Bamberg has a revival in this World Heritage Town. And the second time is the industrial site to revival. Let's see. And I make short introduction about the Bamberg. Bamberg, if you Google it, that is the area. But the World Heritage core area is in this small area. It related to the 2 rivers, and the main river is my river. So that means the people in medical time, they can travel with boat to Frankfurt on Main. So that is the river that it was very important for this traffic before. And now you can see the core area. Oh, sorry. The core area of the World Heritage is this red light area. And the blue light area is the city level of the heritage. So we can see the so-called World Heritage Site area is only in the center of the center area. And the other industrial area that I will introduce is the Elba Textile Park here. For the revival of this old industrial textile factory, so the government has the other idea to revival. So in 2012, there is a show that means Landgarten Vorschau. That means landscape show exhibition in 2012. You can see the logo, the core area that I introduced, the World Heritage area is in the middle. And the logo will extend this area like a flower to show they will cover all and extend the Bamberg Heritage area like a flower. So now, because of this landscape show, this area was renowned as a part of landscape area park, and also a part of our university. So we can see not only the university was here, and also the artists can also stay here. And in the other side, this area is the community for the professor and the students. That means this area, before time, it was an industrial area. After the second revival, this area become a university communities with green park and university communities in this area. So that means because Bamberg, the basement of the World Heritage base with the first revival of university and the second revival as industrial and the university community. It was based on the character of Bamberg and to develop this new area for the community and for the university. So you can see some side like this. It was the show, the exhibition show during this landscape show, and now it was regenerate as a part of park, and for the university and teachers. Professors, if they live here and if they have time in a weekend, they can also come here to have a lecture time and make sport there. So you can see now the textile area now is becoming the totally like a green area, and with river and some plants, original plants. We can see from the factory side, it becomes a natural and ecological communities. That is my part. Thank you for your listening.
谢谢第一位讲师的精彩分享，小心台阶，谢谢。接着第二位讲者，让我们邀请来自希腊阿里山林业铁路及文化资产管理处的吴明汉副营运师及管理师，分享主题为跨国合作与文化。阿里山铁路与英国威尔普兰菲尔铁路的
Bridging Cultures Through Railway, a case study of Alishan Forest Railway and Welsh Pool and Landfair Railway collaboration.
首先，我想感谢就是
First of all, I would like to thank the Bureau of Cultural Heritage, Deputy Director Zhou, and also the entire team of ANI, especially Professor Lin, Chair of the Advisory Committee. I would also like to say hi to all the international correspondents here on site and online. I am an administrator at the Alishan Railway and Cultural Heritage Office. So Alishan Forest Railway and Cultural Heritage Office. From the name of my organization, you can understand that we are not just in charge of operating the forest railway. A very important mandate of our office is cultural heritage preservation. So the origin of my office could be date back to 2018. Hope you don't mind I share some history and story with you. You probably wonder, why am I here and how I started working in this office? So in 2018, at the birth of this office, I joined the team. And at that time, my responsibility was international cooperation. I was also responsible for building sister railways for Alishan Forest Railway. I was also in charge of public communication and photography. For myself, I have a deep passion for cultural heritage, cultural landscape. Over the last 6 years in my career, I have devoted a lot of effort in re-understanding the entire landscape of Alishan Forest Railway, the communities, the lives along the railway, and many other aspects. And here I would like to share with you this cultural collaboration through railway project. Over the years, Alishan Forest Railway, in promoting cultural heritage, in revitalizing cultural heritage, what were some communities, connections that we have built over time? Alishan Forest Railway in the last 6 years, be it stations, the steam locomotives, or the garages, we have gone through a lot of phases of restoration. And here I would like to focus especially on our international collaboration works. I am part of the international cooperation team, and later on in my presentation, you will also understand that the international cooperation has taken quite a novel approach, and this is what I would like to share with you, and I hope you find it interesting and also meaningful.
可以请协助帮我他在翻页当中。
So here, I will have the staff assist me with my presentation. So here, it's okay, we can stay here, on the screen. So here, this landscape, this is the Alishan Forest Railway. This is at Zhuqi, and you can see the surrounding landscape, the fields, the farms. And the counterpart of our is Welsh Pool and Landfar Light Railway. And the nearby surrounding landscape is what I just showed you earlier. So here, about these two railways, you might be curious, how did we start the whole collaboration? Alishan Forest Railway has established 9 sister railway agreements. We share the same train gauge. Some of us, we share similar historical context. Some we share similar cultural landscapes. And for Welsh Pool and Landfar Light Railway, we share the same track gauge. We also share similar historical developments. So Alishan Forest Railway started in 1912. It was completed in 1912, and over the last 110 years, Alishan Forest Railway is not only has achieved significantly in its engineering achievements, it also has this very rich cultural and also humanities heritage. And we have seen how the Forest Railway has became this important lifeline, important storyline of histories for the people. And then for Welsh Pool Landfill Light Railway, it started in 1901. Initially, it like Alishan Forest Railway, it transported coal and also local produce and also timber. And then there was a period of time that it suspended its operation in 1956. And then what is extremely interesting is that with the support of the local volunteers, they were able to revive it. And back in 1963, the Welshpool and Llanfar Light Railway reoperated and became a very important cultural heritage for the locals. And the two railways started its sister agreement. And the sister agreement was established in 2017. So how do we started this collaboration? Here in the photo, it was back in 2009 in one of the international bilateral, one of our bilateral meetings. At that time, we deemed it as an important venue for us to connect the cultures of Taiwan and the UK. And you see the person in gray suit. He is Secretary General Michael Rayleigh, representative of the Welshpool and Llanfar Light Railway. From 2005 to 2009, Michael Rayleigh, Secretary General, he served as the director of the British Office Taipei. He's also a train enthusiast. He's also a very important scholar. And next to him is the Director General of the Forestry Agency of Taiwan, the Forestry Bureau. We also have the many important colleagues. We also have colleagues from Slovakia, from Australia. These were all important partners for us at that time. So at that time, with the diesel locomotive, we wanted to deepen the ties between Taiwan and the UK. So during that meeting, we had this discussion. It's a diesel locomotive that we are discussing, but then we realized that the locomotive, the railway, it has been operating for such a long time. It's a live cultural heritage. It reflects a very comprehensive historical context over time. So DL34 diesel locomotive became the goodwill ambassador for this collaboration. Of course, there are differences. The Alishan Forest Railway was managed by the government. The Welshpool and Llanfar Light Railway was managed by private volunteers. We had differences in some of the context, but we were able to start deepening the ties. So after the British delegation went back, they had more discussions and they came up with more concrete plans. From DL34 locomotive, we wanted to bridge further ties. We wanted to promote further understanding at both sides. And our British friends also wanted to take this collaboration opportunity to showcase the uniqueness of the Alishan Forest Railway. So in year 2023, the head of the Forestry Bureau and also Secretary General Michael Rayleigh, together they witnessed that moment when we brought over the DL34 diesel locomotive from Taiwan to the UK. So this cooperation experience, it's also a very important learning experience. From the British train enthusiasts that we got to witness their attitude, their mindset. Here, he mentioned that DL34 is a goodwill ambassador.
Will help make Taiwan better known around the world. 对，它的重点就是这样子。因为它本身，因为
And this is a very important message. Mr. Rayleigh used to work and live in Taiwan. So here, he's not just showcasing DL34 in the UK. He also deeply hopes that this DL34 locomotive could be serve as a cultural ambassador, and this Alishan Forest Railway can be further seen in different parts of the world. At that time and throughout that collaboration, we faced challenges as well. There were regulatory barriers There was also the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. There were also a lot of works that we had to take care of, like harmonizing like the technical specs and standards. Especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, it was very difficult to arrange certain logistics. And at that time, we're very grateful to the GIS Center team from Fengjia University for supporting us with all the logistics and also transportation arrangements so that we could smoothly bring the DL34 locomotive to the UK. Our counterparts also came over. We were able to hand over all of the details, all of the training documents, manuals were handed over seamlessly. We also learned from our British counterparts how they seriously treated every single detail. And we also got to exchange ideas about a lot of these maintenance and these regular trainings that we have conducted. Another very important lesson, we know that a lot of these British train enthusiasts, they treat these preservation work very seriously. So Mr. Michael Rayleigh, in one of this magazine, he said this paragraph of words. He said, please stop and think before you post on social media. And he said, if you cannot answer yes in all these questions, then why post? Some people wonder, why do we have to take all of these efforts to bring DL34 over? Yet Michael Rayleigh, with his very rich experience, he shared this very candid message, and it showed that our efforts really paid off. So DL34 locomotive was shipped over to the UK. They fine-tuned the locomotive. They also organized a series of events. There was a gala event. There were also these reports and these articles published in the Narrow Gauge World magazine. They also published articles on their quarterly magazines. There was also these photography exhibitions held, and also during the Taiwan Day events held in October in the UK, they were able to share the stories of the Alishan Forest Railway, and all of these results far exceeded our expectation. So here you can see the officials from our Forestry Bureau also led a delegation to the UK. And in the bottom, this is one of the photography exhibitions held on site. We have the former ambassador of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He's now the Dean of Oxford University. And we can see all these very important experts and officials gathered together, taking part in the launching events. This is the words by the head of the Forestry Bureau. He said that Alishan Forest Railway is like the best name card for our international friends to learn more about Taiwan, and DL34 locomotive is like the cultural and ecology goodwill ambassador for Taiwan. So every single issue of the Narrow Gauge World magazine, we get to read about the stories, we get to learn about the collaboration, we get to learn about more details about the Alishan Forest Railway. And you see how our British friends, they're very generous, they're very enthusiastic in showcasing these works to a wider audience. For our future plans, we want to deepen the ties. We want to expand our networks. We are still in a learning process. This is an ongoing journey. We want to make it more sustained So here are my final thoughts. We want to safeguard the railway cultural heritage together. We want to share the beauty of history and nature with more people. We also want to fulfill our social responsibility so that we can truly benefit the future generations. Thank you. We'd like to thank our speaker, Mr. Wu. Next, we'd like to welcome our third speaker. He is Constantino Agrafiotis from Greece, and he's going to share with us the 2023 Cultural Capital of Europe, Eleusis, a unique blend of archaeological sites and industrial heritage. Let's welcome our next speaker.
Okay, thank you very much for having me today. I was in Athens a couple of years ago when Eleusis was voted the Cultural Capital of Europe for 2023. And a few months later, I was in Taiwan, but unfortunately, due to other commitments, it's 2 years later that I will present the Cultural Capital of Europe of 2023. So what is important about Eleusis is the heading. It's a unique blend, as it says there, of archaeological sites and industrial heritage. So you can see here in the photos, on the left photo, this is an older one from the 70s. You can see the archaeological sites, and on the background, it's the cement factory still working. It closed down a few years later, but that's an old photo from the 70s. And on the right is another photo which was taken recently against another area of archaeological site, and you can see the chimneys and the factories in front of the sea. So a little bit about the history of Eleusis. So Eleusis is a small town, about 25 inhabitants, and it's about 20 kilometers west of Athens. The city itself is hugely important as far as history is concerned because it's the whole city, in fact, is a huge archaeological site. And the city was dedicated to the goddess of Demeter, and they were doing some very famous rites there for thousands of years, in fact, until the Byzantine Empire, they shut it down. So, but what happened was that in the 19th century, due to the Industrial Revolution, the city was appropriate for waves of industrialization in Greece. So, also the human geography of Eleusis was shaped from the 19th century all the way up to the 70s through successive waves of immigrants coming to Eleusis seeking work. And as it says there, in the 1960s, Eleusis was producing nearly 40% of all industrial output of Greece. It's not working. So that's a panoramic view now of Eleusis here on the right side. It's an evening photo, which is very nice. I deliberately chose it because it shows very well the difference. On the right side, you can see the huge archaeological sites from the old Demeter temples, and on the left side is the city as it was built from the end of 19th century up to present day. In front is the bay of Eleusis, where they have the shipyards. Well, they had the shipyards, there are no shipyards anymore. And the island is the famous Salamis Island in front. So, how come that Elefsis was chosen as the cultural capital of Europe? Because a lot of people, they were just wondering, how come? Because Elefsis was not that important as far as European cities are concerned. However, it was this unique blend of archaeology and industrial heritage that, that swing the committee's decision towards voting for Elefsis to become the cultural capital of Europe. Well, as it says there, the municipal authorities, they saw this as a huge opportunity to promote Elefsis to the world, and they did a hell of a lot of work in restoring the archaeological sites and also restoring some old industrial buildings, where I'm going to show you in the next few slides. So that's just a number of what things have been restored, yeah? The first one, which was the most important, is the old oil mill. They used to produce soap in this mill, and it was established in the 19th century. The second, it was the Irish paint factory. The third, it was a camp, which was restored again. They planted new trees and everything. They cleaned up. The other one, which is very important, is the Titan cement factory, which closed down, and the old railway station, as well as the old Elefsis town hall. Now, this is the main hall, well, actually one of the halls, but this is the main hall of the olive oil soap mill, which was established in 1885, and it was repurposed as a museum and an exhibition center. Now, this is how it was before the restoration. Some buildings that were still standing, some others that had collapsed, and this is the work that they have been doing now for the past few years. You can see the full restoration of the building in areas with the red squares. They built a new theater as well for cultural events. And the whole thing, the whole industrial site was restored. In front there on the right, you can see the sea, yeah? So that's another photo. These are some of the restored areas. This is the part of the museum. Oops. And this is, as I showed earlier on, here is the exhibition center. Another important site which was restored, because I was not working as well, it was the Elefsis Old Cinema, which was built in 1963, and it became a sports, now it's a sports center. That's another very important industrial site which was repurposed, restored and repurposed as well, is the Irish Paints Factory, which was established in 1925. As you can see here, this is fully restored, the old paint factory, plus on the right you can see the buildings that they are in stone. This is just the last stages before they put the pavements around the buildings. You can still see the chimney there on the right. And this is how it was before the restoration started. Actually, that's various stages of restoration here. Another restored building was the refreshments building, which was part of some of the factories where the workers, they had their lunch breaks, and they would come there and, have a drink, some water, have their lunches, and so on. that was restored as well. And the railway station. The railway station was built in 1880. This photo actually doesn't correspond to the 19th century. It's it was taken in the 1920s. Late 20s, early 30s, I should think. But you can still see the architectural elements of the railway station. And this is how it was restored, and some cultural events as well on the right, like open-air cinema. And the last restoration was the old LFC's town hall, which was built in 1928. You can see on the right the last stages of the restoration of the building, and on the left side is the building fully restored as it was during the cultural capital of Europe, which was for a year, yeah? Mind you, I was there just for a day, yeah? The whole thing was run for a whole year. I mean, they had millions of cultural and creative events and theaters and you name it, and so on. But I just went there for a day. I just saw a few things. And also there's a huge museum there was a huge, well, there still is, a huge open-air museum. They call it RAW. And the whole city was turned into an open-air museum. So everybody could follow. Everybody could follow the step. They saw the paths and go around and see the archaeological sites as well as the industrial heritage sites. So that's it for me. Now, I mean, there's a lot more happening there, but I only have 15 minutes, so that's it. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
好，我们谢谢讲者的演说，感谢。好，那在我们进行了3场的这个议程之后呢，今天在现场还有线上都刚有提到，有一些专家学者跟青年学子都跟我们一起来。
That there are also students joining us online and on site. Once again, may I ask Professor Lin to provide some feedback and also once again help us introduce our speakers on site and online.
Thank you very much for sharing your experience. I think we see the different research interest and also the international cooperation experience and also close boundary to work the industrial heritage together with archaeology side. So it's a very fruitful outcome. And earlier, I think we are too hurried to make a photo. We haven't introduced our guest on site. So first, I think I will introduce Stefan. He will be also be our speaker later. Yeah. And also our Yu Huang is also our international correspondent. And some of our future candidates for our international correspondent. So Yini and Xian Xian and Bing Feng. Yeah. And we also have Ming Han earlier. Thank you. Plus, we also have some of our international correspondents online. So can we show the screen? Is this possible? Yeah. Or is it too difficult? Yeah. Okay. Except our international correspondent on site, we also have several guests online. So they were, if we call your name, can you wave to us, please? So we will have Cindy. Give us a little, oh, thank you. Hello, Cindy. And we will also have another presenter about Abatika. Yeah, okay, nice meeting you. And we will also have Rajendra from India. Thank you. And also we have one new guest, Alice from France. Yeah, nice meeting you. Okay, so I hope I have been introduced. Oh, also Yanjing from Lee, from Korea, yeah. Okay, and I think our list quite a lot. Okay, and we also have from Chiu Long from Vietnam. Okay, and Tinali Noba. All right, and Kapata. Yeah, and Saru Ashlan, yeah, and Morocco Tamea. Okay, thank you for all of you joining us today. So right now we leave for the second section's presentation for another 4 speakers.
好，我们谢谢小薇老师的介绍。紧接着，我们进入到第4场的演讲，是来自印度的 Abantika Mukherjee 女士，主题为印度青年对工业遗产景观的认知与观点。让我们用掌声来欢迎 Abantika。
Hello, good morning, everyone. I hope the screen is visible. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Annie, for this wonderful opportunity. I am Abantika Mukherjee from India. In light of today's agenda of Annie, I would like to generate a discussion on youth perception on industrial heritage. The presentation begins with some initiatives on public participation and peace.
Sorry, Abantika, we can hear your voice.
The heritage management strategies, specifically in the case of industrial heritage. As per the Constitution of India, protection of heritage is one of the fundamental duties of our citizens. Industrial heritage assets, which are primarily urban, involves the stake of a large group of these citizens. 2 schemes initiated by the Government of India, which are Hriday and Smart Cities Mission, both launched in 2015, has been instrumental in developing people-centric approaches for urban heritage management, and this has largely increased public participation in the last decade. The need for people-centric holistic approaches for urban heritage management has also been strengthened by the Historic Urban Landscapes recommendation released by UNESCO in 2011. This approach has shifted the idea from an expert-centric sector-based interventions to people-centric area-based interventions. In this context, it is important to note that around 66% of the Indian population is under the age of 35, and hence people-centric approaches focus largely on the youth in our country. In the upcoming slides, we will show the people-centric approaches, how they have been implemented in various urban heritage contexts in India. Here we see the first example, which is the city of Agra, which is famous for the UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the 7 wonders of the world, the Taj Mahal, which many of you must be familiar with. The city has undergone many projects under the Smart City mission that I have mentioned before, one of which is the Tajganj Improvement Project. Tajganj is the 400-year-old market district with artisan settlement, which is the buffer for the Taj Mahal World Heritage Site. A wide variety of artistic skills have been identified in the area, which includes marble inlay work, carpet making, zardosi work, and other embroidery techniques. There have been initiatives for establishing skill centers for the youth, thus the flagship projects under the Smart City initiatives, as mentioned in the slideshow. This involves the young participation. This worked in parallel to the UNESCO's heritage project in Tajganj, under which many heritage walks and knowledge sharing initiatives, especially for the school-going children, were conducted. The next example is the walled city of Jaipur in Rajasthan, which is one of the first historic cities in India to have a management plan prepared. The walled city is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and as the images are showing, the local economy largely relies on tourism. Heritage management in the urban level, as well as in individual sites, involves community engagement. There have been multiple collaborations with NGOs, hotel chains, UNESCO body, the civil society, and the royal families as well. The Development Authority has conducted large surveys to gather public perception on conservation works. Multiple capacity building workshops have also been conducted to enhance the intangible heritage skills of the youth. The World Heritage Institute of Training and Research for Asia and Pacific region, WITAR, which is based in Shanghai, initiated efforts to propagate HUL approach, and Ajmer Pushkar region, which is this case study, is one of the 3 Indian cities that were chosen for the pilot implementation. The Ajmer Pushkar Heritage Cell catalog has been created using participatory approaches, which involves the local people for creating the inventory as well as for the value assessment of these sites. Thus, the tools for utilizing public perception in urban heritage management can be recognized through these practical examples. Now, coming to the context of industrial heritage, which in the Indian context is largely in the urban setting. India has a wide variety of industrial heritage, and attempt of developing the inventory of industrial heritage is shown here, which has been done by Space Matters in Delhi. Out of all the clusters of industrial heritage, the one highlighted in yellow is the study area for my ongoing PhD research. This blow-up map showing the highlighted industrial landscape, where since the last century, there has been establishment of the largest cluster of jute mills, creating a historic industrial landscape. This led to the creation of a continuous industrial community across a large belt along both banks of this river. So the research started with understanding what can be defined as an industrial community, and in this case, it is the socio-economic entity which is directly or indirectly linked to the industrial activities of the jute mills. The image shows the current knowledge, skills, habitats, and activities of the jute industrial community in the study area. They clearly show the youth and women involvement in the industrial activities, which is not very common across all industrial types in our country. So how do we identify these clusters for a study of their needs and their perceptions about industrial heritage? A part of my research was to develop the approach for identifying these appropriate industrial community clusters. These target groups could be 3 target groups had been identified: the current and past industrial workers, the people involved in commercial activities in the industrial neighborhood, and the residents of the neighborhood who are closely connected to the industrial sites. A survey was conducted amongst these industrial communities regarding their perceptions about the jute mills as industrial heritage. Roughly 30% of the sample of the survey was the young population, as highlighted in the table, and we found significant differences in perception regarding the sense of pride, the level of knowledge about industrial history, and the community acquaintance with the industrial community. The detailed findings can be referred from our publications mentioned in the source. Finally, from the research, similar community involvement approaches have been identified, as we have just observed in the practical case studies, which involves community engagement, workshops, and intergenerational knowledge sharing programs. So this leads to some of these questions highlighted about youth involvement for industrial heritage in India. And this highlights the need for using digital tools, social media for better youth perception, for better knowledge about industrial history, and for raising their sense of pride. And more skill development initiatives integrating industrial heritage studies in school curriculums are the need of the hour. Hope this presentation raises important discussions, avenues about youth involvement in industrial heritage management. Thank you, and please feel free to contact me via email for any questions or discussions. Thank you.
好，我们感谢线上的讲者为我们带来精彩的演说。接下来我们要直接邀请到同样是由线上的讲者第5位讲者，由来自印尼的 Sri Cindy Indira 女士，她将带来。
Cindy Indira, and she's going to share with us their participation, their practice in attracting the Gen Z in their work.
Can you hear me very clear? Hello? Okay, I will start. Thank you, Annie, for inviting me for this international event. I will present about a current phenomenon in Indonesia relating to industrial heritage. My title is Reviving the Past with a Thrill Heritage Building as Adrenaline-Based Experience for Gen Z. Next, please. In recent years, efforts to preserve cultural heritage through the adaptive reuse and repurposing of buildings have become increasingly popular and have emerged as a trend in almost every major city in Indonesia. Museums, too, have long been exploring various strategies to attract visitors, particularly younger generations. One of the more popular efforts today involving repurposing of old buildings into adrenaline pumping attractions such as haunted houses, tours of historical buildings, and districts with eerie narratives and immersive exhibits in museums that offer visitors a unique experience. As you can see on the slides that this is in Bahasa Indonesia called Rumah Hantu or Ghost House in the Old Town. So this is one of the currently happening in Old Town Jakarta, Batavia, where young youth generations are coming over to stand in line to enter the building because they want to see the horror of the attraction instead of enjoying the historical area of the region. This trend aims to capture the attention of Generation Z using more economical viable approach to increase the commercial value and interest of these generations. Next, please. This is also from a social media promoting the walking tour around the Old Town and use the horror house as the highlights of the poster to attract Gen Z. This is also located in one of the heritage area in Jakarta, Old Town. Next, please. The core issue I address in this study is the tension between cultural, historical preservation and the commercial adaptations of heritage buildings. As more heritage sites are transformed into adrenaline attractions, like haunted tours and immersive light shows, there is a need to evaluate how these changes affect both the historical integrity of the site and its cultural significance. The research questions guiding this observation is: what are the implications of transforming heritage buildings into adrenaline-based attractions for the preservation of historical narrative and cultural identity? So to explore this phenomenon, I use social media based on experiential observations. Next, please. These theories help us understand how the transformations of heritage sites can either preserve or potentially dilute their value. So that these 3 key points about heritage preservation, about preserving historical value while adapting the modern needs, and the experience economy theory, creating memorable, immersive experience for modern audience. and social media influences, the role of social media in shaping visitors' behavior and cultural perceptions. Next, please. As you will see, on the left, we have the before image of an old heritage building in the old town, Jakarta. As you can see, the building is in a state of disrepair, showing its age and historical wear. Now on the right, we have the after image. The same building has been transformed into a popular attraction, Rumah Hantu Kota Tua, or a haunted house experience. Notice how the essence of the building's historical character is still preserved, while modern elements like the lighting and signage have been integrated to appeal to a new generations of visitors. So this is a perfect example of adaptive reuse where a heritage site retains its historical significance, but it's repurposed to offer thrilling modern experience. It is not just about maintaining the building, it is about breathing new life into it and making it relevant to today's audience while respecting its past. Next, please. These are some of the examples of the promotion from the social media. They've been doing this for 2 years already. There are so many students, and also even my daughter wants to stay in line only to enter the buildings. But actually the surroundings of the building itself or surroundings of the area has also narrative to tell about history in Jakarta. Next, please. And other than Jakarta, also if we can, this is one of the heritage street in Bandung, in Braga Street, where also these attractions available for the visitors to come, and mostly are young generation and young students. So this is one of the hits destinations in this street because there are people standing in line only to enter the building, while actually the street itself has a also interesting narrative to tell. Next, please. The increasing popularity of films, games, and stories centered around the supernatural plays a significant role. People are drawn to thrilling, spooky experience that capture the excitement that enjoy in the media. So Gen Z has a strong desire for adrenaline novelty and unique experiences. They are always searching for a new ways to push their boundaries, and they prefer attractions that offer something different from the ordinary. Lastly, the need of shareable content has become more important than ever. Gen Z loves creating visual engaging moments that can be posted on social media, which not only boosts their personal experience, but also serve to promote their attractions originally. Next, please. Other examples of heritage adrenaline's experience is, for example, in one of the an old forts. This is actually a buried forts haunted tours, where it has a very interesting trees that already embedded as part of the structure, and it is becoming exploring historical military structures with a chilling narrative. And also immersive light and sound shows in one of the old buildings. It has successfully gathered crowds to come to see the lights, but it's more to that. And also the other thing is abandoned factories as a thrill parks. This is one of the biggest sugar factory in Java, where as the location for horror movie sets. Next, please. One fascinating example of heritage building being reimagined is the Gondang Winangun sugar mill, which has gained significant attention after being featured as the set for the horror movie called Pabrik Gula. Released in cinemas on March 31st, 2025, the film taps into the eerie atmosphere of the abandoned industrial ruins, transforming the mill into a chilling backdrop for a supernatural narrative. This film has played a pivotal role in spotlighting the factory, and increasing its popularity as a thriller attractions. I myself is not a fan of a horror movie, and I didn't even can watch the poster comfortably. Next, please. This is the locations of the the sets, the movie sets, the Gondang Winangun sugar mills, because the area is very wide and then also it is abandoned, not yet revitalized, but the movie sets makes it more interesting. But how long can we do this? I mean, we need to think of something else to make use of something much more active. Next, please. The other locations in Indonesia called Lawang Sewu, the Haunted Tour in Semarang. This is one of the main office of a railway company in Semarang who has 1,000 doors because they have a lot of doors in the design of the buildings. This is long to be one of the myth within the urban legend that the building is haunted and something like that. And so that they make some kind of a night tour of Lawang Sewu. But the other part of the city where we can see revitalized sugar factory in Brebes as a rest area, this is much more used for commercial. Next, please. If we can see from the social media influences blending modern storytelling with history, my analysis shows that Gen Z is highly engaged with this experience. They exactly seek out novel, intense experience that push boundaries. Social media also plays a crucial role. Many visitors are motivated by the desire to capture and share Instagram-worthy moments. This is some of the example from the social media I took about attractions about Nike's catch in the museum or Nike's thrilling seeking behavior in the haunted place. Next, please. Social media not only to attract people to see, but they want people to experience. So this is a desire for shareable moments. The need to capture and share unique Instagrammable content drives participation, creating viral trends. This is one of the biggest immersive in one of the national museum in Indonesia. Next, please. My highlights for this hypothesis that can be proposed is that the transformations of heritage buildings into adrenaline-based attractions presents a challenge in the preservation of historical narrative and cultural identity in Indonesia. While this trend can attract visitors and provide commercial benefits, it may risk obscuring the historical and cultural values embedded in these buildings. So this issue raises the need of discussions how to develop such an attraction in ways that preserve the historical and cultural essence of the buildings while maintaining the original identity. Next, please. This is a conclusion that we've seen that combining the thrill of adrenaline-driven experience with the rich historical narrative of heritage buildings can create a powerful new form of engagement. And also in the same time, as we move forward to the adaptive reuse, it is critical to strike the right balance between respect or historical authenticity and innovation that caters the modern taste. Gen Z itself undeniably the key to the future of heritage appreciation. So this generation seeks experience that immersive and exciting to share. Next, please, the last discussions. So let's rethink this heritage engagement. Next slide, please. Discussions to this phenomenon is adaptive reuse of heritage buildings for adrenaline experience is a growing trend with both opportunities and challenges. The key to successful engagement lies in balancing thrill with respect for the past. By combining modern storytelling with historical preservation, we can ensure that heritage buildings remain vibrant, relevant, and appreciated by future generations. Gen Z, with their first for immersive experience and shareable moments, will be the key to the future heritage engagement. Thank you. That is all from me.
好，我们谢谢线上讲者的精彩分享。好，今天分享非常的紧凑，我们紧接着就要进入到今日的第6位讲者，他是来自印度的
From
Rajendra
India,
Kumar 教授，
Rajendra
将分
Kumar,
享印度
architect
与海
Rajendra
外第
Kumar
一
will
个
talk to
以
us
保存
about
社群的
linking
网络连
heritage,
接与
India and
台湾
Taiwan,
欢
any
迎
network connections and youth participation. A big round of applause.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Can you all hear? Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, any team, and especially thank you so much, Ida, for having me here again. It has been wonderful interacting with ANI for more than 7 years when I was first time in Taiwan, and I'm looking forward for some more collaboration. Today, I was very patiently listening to all of speaker, and there was a great presentation. I am not presenting any building case study, but I am presenting some ideas, which I would like also to propose to INI, and there can be a great collaboration. As my colleague Avantika, she also mentioned about a project of Ajmer and Agra. I mean, you all might have seen in your presentations or worldwide information available on some great monument and great projects in India, specifically which are concerning with the heritage. Taking the lead of some of the initiative which I have been doing in the last few years, I would like to also propose some of the idea where maybe INI can also help us, or I'm also opening up this discussion to other colleagues also of the from any part of the world, if they would like to discuss. I mean, I would like to extend my full support. Okay, so start my meeting. I am Rajendra Kumar. I'm Director of Architecture School in LPU, India, and I have been in academics and practice from approximately 2 decades. Let me see how it works. Okay, so today, as my colleague just spoke before me, talking about youth participation, and she mentioned about Gen Z, and I believe I am still not very clear what's the difference between Gen Z, Gen X, and all those things. So every year the terminology is changing, and I am sure that the power is in the youth. As my other colleague also mentioned, that we have large number of youth population in India, and I believe that in total Asia also has a large population of youth comparing with the West. Such kind of a discussion about networking connection and engaging the youth is very important, and I am doing some of my practices which engage youth as a like of the focal point. I have been recently I have been to the Russia in Kazan, and where I talked about transformation of industrial zone as a factor of urban development. During my talk and interacting with the global leaders from across the world, more particularly from Asian countries, and talking about industrial development, I spoke about some of the projects what we are doing in India, but learning from experiment of industrial zone converting into new urban development. You all might have heard that the city called Mumbai, where there is a lot of old industrial town are becoming the center for a high-rise development, maybe apartment, maybe housing, or offices complex and all. So I would like to extend support to INI, or I would also like to propose if there are any collaborations where we can work on possibility of documenting of what old industrial town are already being developed, and what are the old industrial town which has a possibility of developing, and that's the idea which I'm doing my research, and I would also like to propose to ANIH also if they would like to talk about the documentation of old industrial town and new old industrial town which are being developed and old industrial town which has a possibility of developing in future. So that's one. Talking about relation between India and Taiwan, if you can see here the corridors of industrial development. So these are some of the industrial development along the corridor, because India is a very geographically very wide, and so there are a lot of industrial corridors are being developed. And as per my proposal to ANIH, I would like to propose on we can identify some of the very important cities of India. Like for example, I'm taking one example here on your cursor. You can see Delhi is in the center and Mumbai is on the west side. So Delhi and Mumbai, this red line is actually connecting Delhi and Mumbai, and it becomes like an industrial corridor, major industrial corridor of India. It's called Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor. So I would love to propose it to ANIH for documenting of industrial town between Delhi and Mumbai, which are being converted into new development. I would also like to propose some of the possibility of industrial cities of Indian cities and site in form of a few things, like maybe we can develop some exhibition as in the initial inaugural speech it was mentioned, and that there is a conference going to happen by ANIH in the coming month. I would like to propose an exhibition on industrial cities of India, and maybe we can start working on the books also, or maybe on a video documentary. So these are some proposals which I would like to share. And just to share my, just to support my proposal, I would also like to possibly, give you some idea about one of the very important in royal family of India, that's called Rampur royal family, which is very near to New Delhi. This has a very historical significance in the history because of the royalty and because of their contribution in India. This royal family have developed a lot of they developed a lot of industry. But after 1947, when India got independent, the royalty was demolished, and so there was, the control on those industrial towns were not on the royal family of Rampur. Because of the shortage of time, I'm not able to explain you all the detail. But all those industrial towns are abandoned at this present state. So I would strongly recommend to ANIH for doing some research on this. Like, for example, one of the project which I did with the royal family is like documenting of Rampur railway station, because that railway station was basically for the royals of those Rampur city. Here you can see some of the newspapers news. I visited to Rampur city along with my student and also the Rampur His Highness, and it talks about the very abandoned stage of Rampur railway station. So I believe that there are some initiative to be done for these kind of very historical sites. I did some exhibition also in talking about New Delhi and Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Just 2 months before, I did exhibition at Culture Palace in Saudi Arabia in Riyadh cities. And this is one of the very interesting initiative which I did. This I am also proposing it to ANIH. If you would like to do, we can do with the Taiwan also. The project was like a Tale of Two Cities. It's a TV series which I curated and I helped to Indian architects called Dikshu Kukreja, and it was the initiative was very interesting, and it talked about tale of two city, means a story of two city, and one city is Indian city and corresponding another city with the international city. So that's like, for example, when we talked about conversation between president of Colombia. So, because in India, there is a city called Ahmedabad where the BRT system is very effectively working, though the BRT system was also tried in a bigger city like Mumbai and Delhi also. Sorry, not Mumbai, only in Delhi, but BRT didn't work. But BRT system in Ahmedabad, it's working very well, and on the same line of Bogota. So that's why in the first episode, we started talking about Bogota and in Bogota of Colombia and Ahmedabad of India. And another episode with Prime Minister of Adirama, Prime Minister of Albania, Adirama, it talked about Indian city of Panajim and Goa with the mayor of Mexico. That time when we curated this TV show, she was a mayor. Now she's a president of Mexico. We talked about Mumbai and Mexico City. We talked about San Marino with Auroville City. We talked about Hanover and Bhopal. We talked about Calcutta and Melbourne, because the interesting part of Calcutta was this thing, because Kolkata was a capital of India before Delhi, and Melbourne was a capital of Australia before the new capital city. So, and there was a lot of hidden story we discovered. Like, for example, when the sailor who went to Melbourne, first sailor who reached on Melbourne, his ship name was Calcutta. So there were a lot of hidden story of, talking about the global leaders, talking about their city and comparing Indian city. We came across with this. And like a Washington, D.C., we talked with the Delhi, and the mayor of Rotterdam, we talked about Indian city called Kochi because of the both coastal city. So these are some kind of a conversation with the global leaders. It could be an online video or online YouTube conversation, and shows whole world. And one thing was very interesting, which was the common with all the conversation and with all the global leader, whether we talk about Mexico City, which is a global megapolis, or whether we talk about San Marino, which is a very small, tiny landlocked country in the Italy. The aspiration of all the people were same. Everybody want to have a good life, good job, good health. Everyone, whether, people living in megapolis or whether people living in a small town. So these are some of the ideas which I have proposed, and I would like to discuss. I'm open for any question or anything if, maybe Eni or maybe other colleague would like to ask. So this is all from my side. Thank you so much.
好，掌声，谢谢我们线上的讲来精彩的分享。接下来是我们最后一位的个人讲者。
Now we will be moving on to the last speaker from Slovakia, and he's also here with us in the room. He will be talking about Taiwanese historical hydropower plants, the status of 15 years of on-site research and selected case studies.
Thank you very much for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be over here always. So let's move to the very first slide, which kind of marks the 120 years of hydropower plants in Taiwan. This is for us as a research laboratory of Taiwan hydropower plants. This is a quite interesting term, because in 1905 there was the first hydropower plant that was built in Taiwan. So I believe that would be July this year. That marks exactly 120 years. Okay, over here. There you go. All right, so this is our laboratory. Slovak-Taiwan Hydropower Laboratory, and today's presentation is Taiwanese hydropower plants, and basically 15 years of our research laboratory, basically the history and what we've been done. So let me do a little bit of introduction of what we've been doing. There are some QR codes, you can basically take them and see what we are doing in the details, because I couldn't really fit all of those things in one presentation, so you can kind of follow it later. Let me see what this is working. Okay, excellent. So this is what we are doing. There are kind of 3 pillars. We're starting with the research. The research is basically 15 years of first mapping of the Taiwanese hydropower plants that goes all around the Taiwan. So basically we are mapping the very small hydropower plants, those little pico things that you have somewhere in your garden, up to the very large-scale hydropower plants, let's say a pumped storage hydropower plants, which are named as a Mitang or Daguan over here in Taiwan, or Middle Taiwan. Then what we do have as a second pillar over there is the, can't really see that actually, industrial heritage, yes, of course. How can I say that? Industrial heritage goes without the saying. Now, what we are doing over there, we started this research somewhere between 2015, 2016, where we excavated our first hydropower plant in Taiwan, and we've been kind of going from there. You will see on other slides that we excavated and refined and basically identified around 111, till this day, 111 sites. We are also doing the on-site excavations. So essentially, we're going on a site, basically mark the site, dig out whatever left's over there, and then basically do the 3D reconstructions. Well, at least we are trying to do that because there are very limited resources on that one. And the last one, we are always engaged in a practice. So we are both architects, and both of us that you're going to see in our presentations. There's 2 guys that are working in the research laboratory. So essentially, as we are practicing architects or practicing engineers, we are also doing the projects. So we are working actively on the architectural projects as well as hydropower plants over here in Taiwan. Currently, we are building one down in southern Taiwan, and we are commissioned to do another one somewhere in Kaohsiung area. You can actually see me over there digging. So, move to another side. I kind of want to go to the place. Okay, so these are the 2 people that are working over there, me and my colleague. So you can see this is a Taiwan and Slovakian cooperation. Not sure we are young, but I mean, we consider ourselves young. So I guess, you know, that kind of goes with the theme of this topic. We are also cooperating with the universities. We are cooperating with all the other institutions, as you're going to see in the other slides. And then I'll show you a couple of cases where these kind of merged together, so you see the final product. This is how we started. This is our timeline. So you can see that we set up the laboratory somewhere at the very beginning. I mean, I came to Taiwan in 2009, so technically I'm working on this project since 2009, but you can see that there are a couple of other points that we did. Probably the most significant and the most important is the industrial heritage ones, which is I guess that's a circle from your right. That's the second circle from your right when you see the excavation, our first excavation of the hydropower turbine from 1952. So this marked basically the history where we started as a research laboratory working on the historical cases. There have been other things that we did before, and this year we are actually publishing the first cyclopedia that will comprise all the hydropower plants in Taiwan, including the historical cases. Let me move to another slide. Now, this is our cooperation network. Again, it goes without the saying, when you are doing research, especially as a private researcher, you need to be engaged into academia, naturally. You need to be engaged into a public sector, which is most of the time the source of all your information, meaning that in case of a hydropower plants, we are going to all of those remote areas, and essentially we are asking people that used to be living over there, or basically they operated this hydropower plant, where they were, how they look like, what was the technology inside, or just sometimes just simply talking about the life of that time, so that we kind of get some image of how that particular case looked like before. Then, of course, there are some international organizations, NGOs, and everything else that goes with it. Then you do have the government sector, and then you have the private sector. And at the end, there is always a funding that we are kind of getting from Slovakia, and we have actually a support from all the other institutions that are willing to cooperate with us, because this is quite wide sector, however, kind of inward oriented because it's very specific. So you always need to talk about the private sector. You always need to tell them how and what you want to do, and then you're waiting for the feedback. There are some basic numbers. You can see these numbers, 109, that's actually an old number. When I was preparing the presentation, we had exactly 109 historical cases. We already have 111. So as you can see, this is a research that is kind of, we call it a live research because basically the numbers are either going up or going down, depends on how we are identifying these things. To kind of make you understand how this is working, essentially we found something. We cross-references with the data, usually Japanese database with a Taiwanese database, and then we are usually reaching out to industries that originally built that hydropower plant. In this case, most of the hydropower plants from that era came from Japan, so we are cooperating with the Hitachi, for example, and they have their own database, which is quite limited, but we are always confirming it with them. Now, there are other things to kind of mark things that we are working. You can see that we are engaged into practice. There are some patents and patents of a hydropower turbine. So you can see that we are also engaged in the manufacturing processes and basically the design processes which are modern, right? But that's something that just kind of talks about the activities that we have around these historical power plants. The historical part is actually what we are doing since 2016, and it's relevant for this particular presentation. Now, let me go to cases where we cooperated with all sorts of industries, all sorts of universities, and I'll start with our flagship projects, which is Sanjiaopu. We also cooperated with the ANIH with this one. We did a video for them, so it's actually an introduction. This is a very special project with most of the Taiwanese. They know it existed, but they don't know where it is. It's a Chaoshan waterway, and it's at the very bottom of it. Now, why is this hydropower plant special? It's because it's using the drinking water. Now, we have currently two other hydropower plants in Taiwan. They are modern, and they are using the drinking water, or tap water, if you like. But this is the only one in Taiwan that is using the tap water from artesian wells. And the power plant is actually designed before the water goes, after the water goes through the cleaning process. All the rest of the modern one, they are basically using water that has not been cleaning yet, right? So given the fact that this is a power plant from 1930, that's a pretty good technology that we are looking at. Unfortunately, the power plant ceased to exist in 1970 because the artesian well simply didn't have too much water. So I'm going to kind of speed up this process, especially for this particular case. You will see our cooperation with the universities. So what happened was, like, we had the Taipei Tech University. There are students that came over there. They designed the location of the site. We basically tell them these are architectural students, right? We basically ask them to redesign the whole thing and basically open it more to a public, so you can see their final presentation. And that's also me presenting, because obviously you need to present the project before you want a student to do anything. There are a couple of other cases, but I want to stay with the Sanjiaopu because it's also international. This is me bringing students from Cambodia, and we basically show the lectures, show the site directly. So you can see me basically giving lectures on the site, which is always nice in case of industrial heritage. You kind of drawing the attention of the students to the site and to the technology. And it was also a very nice cooperation with the Taipei Water Department over there. Now, I will slowly go through, or basically fastly going through all the other cases. This is the case that we excavated from 1956. You can see the excavated turbine. This is in Shamping, again, southern Taiwan. And this is the case that we are currently working on. It's a Taiping, again, excavated. Unfortunately, what happened was that the powerhouse was washed away during the flooding. And then we have a very nice case from a Japanese imperial period. This is a Tongman hydropower plant. Most of you know it as a hydropower plant that is actually built inside the mountain. This is what happened before the mountain power plant was actually built. However, that one that is in the mountain uses the turbine that are actually excavated from this particular hydropower plant. Another case is, which is literally across. Unfortunately, nothing stays for the powerhouse. What you see over there, those are just the remains of background structures. And this is our recent case that we are working on. It's the Guanshan hydropower plant, again, from the Japanese imperial period. Very specific case where you have the vertical shaft Francis turbine. And I would like to share one of the last cases. This is Gwen Abuka from my colleague. He excavated this particular one. This is a hydropower plant that was built by Japanese, prepared, everything was set up. And when the turbine is supposed to be shipped from Japan, unfortunately, the ship was sunk and the power plant never actually started producing the electricity. So that's why we mark only 1933. We don't mark any other dates because the power plant never really existed. And these two cases, I'll just jump through them because we don't have that much time. These are known as Hualien hydropower plants 1 and 2, and they originally power up the Hualien port. And I guess we have one more case. Yes, we have one more case, which is a private hydropower plant from Zhiban, again, southern Taiwan, Taidong. Very specific case, again, with the turbine that originally was retrofitted with the system that we were using in water mills, or basically water mills. They were retrofitting the water mills in Taiwan at the very beginning of the hydropower era. So this is a case that we are working on since, I guess, 2018. And that marks the end of my presentation. So thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions or comments, let me know.
谢谢讲师的精彩分享 ，Thank you for。好的，接下来的这个时段呢，让我们再次的有请小魏老师
In the
来为我们
following,
的
we'd
总
like to
结，欢迎小魏
invite
老师。
Professor Lin to come back to the stage and to give us some follow-up remarks.
Fourth speaker for the second section of look at the industrial heritage from the youth participation point of view. And we also see a lot of different type of heritage engagements and also some interesting research proposal. Yeah, so I think together we can conclude today's international correspondent meeting, fulfill the mission of ANI, because we are going to promote the research and conservation of industrial heritage and strengthen the collaboration between the heritage community. Yeah. And today, ANI already become one of quite an important platform for the promoting of exchange and among the experts, scholars, and heritage communities. I think you can see that not only in the Pacific Ocean, but also beyond. Yeah. So this is our first section for this morning. And I thank you for our 7 speakers, and also thank you for all the people participate for online and on-site. And later we are going to our second section for the discussion, and which will lead by Dr. Lai. And please accept my apologies because I have a university class, so I will leave first. But thank you for all of your joining us today. Thank you.
谢谢小魏老师，感谢以上7位讲者丰富且精彩深刻的分享，让我们看见产业文化资产的多元样貌与未来可能。接下来我们将进入综合座谈环节，我们会邀请现场的通讯员一起来到台前参与讨论。同时在这个阶段呢，我们也再次邀请
Next, we are going to convene a round table. We'd like to invite Ms. Lai from Fengjia University to chair this session. We'd like to especially focus on network connection and also youth participation. We have with us our chair, Ms. Lai, and also Mr. Wu from the Alishan Forest Railway Office. We have Mr. Constantino and also Professor Stefan on site. So now let's welcome our panel speakers.
好，那么这个时间就让我们交给赖副处长。
I will now hand it over to Professor Lai.
OK， OK， 谢谢大家今天早上的共同参与。
Thank you for participating in the morning
不
session.
论是现场的，或者是在网络上面线上的。
I would like to say to our colleagues here in the room and online
当地的
that I've learned so much from what you shared. You've shared a lot of experience and case studies.
国际通讯
And
员的部分，我们听完以上的很多
we've heard from
案例
our
上的一些分享。
international correspondents
那我们想说
already.
透过这个综合座谈可以提出来。
So we will now move on to the
对于
discussion
交流
session.
个人的部分
So
有没有什么样一些
please
经验
feel
上面
free
的
to
一些分
share
享？
your
那我
feedback
想
or
说，有没有
comments.
机会我们先邀请依宁
Maybe
依宁她在湖
can I
北是火
ask
箭村
Yining
有很多的眷
to
村文化上面的
talk
一
to
些
us
探索跟
about
进一步
her
的研
experience
究。那
with
透过这
military
部分的一些
dependence
研究之
village, her
后，以
research,
饮食食物的部
and
分来
she
提点，
focuses
让大
on
家进一
food
步去了
cuisine
解
as a
背后的一些
perspective
故事。
and
所以我们想有机
tell
会，依宁
stories
现在也在
through
现场，也
that
可以
dimension.
她
Now that Ini is here in the room, can I ask
湖北
Ini
火箭
to
村
first
这个部分的一些
talk to
饮
us
食饮
about
食文化
her
的探索。
research on the military dependence village in
站得
Hubei?
好吗？好，那我站一下好了。
So I'll stand up and talk. Hello, everyone. My name is Ini.
然后我今天那个是以一个学习的身份，
I am actually a student here. I've learned so much from all of you. And I'm also a provider of the refreshments on site. I'm really grateful to the ANIH. And I have actually taught at another ANIH conference a few years back. And today, I feel so fortunate that I can share my research with you here on site. A little bit about the refreshments here you see on the table. There are mooncakes, what we call mooncakes. The Hubei military dependence village have a very special taste. You see this white mooncake. What you'll find inside is a sort of a pepper flavor. That's the favorite of the Air Force, and also this peanut flavored tofu is a symbol of our village. It is made by the mothers in the village, and this sugar is made by the Hubei sugar factory. Hubei is actually the only sugar factory in operation in Taiwan. That's very special. And also, there's a baozi, a bun that's wrapped with special kimchi made in the village. And also, there's a another steam bun. Those are actually living symbols of the history of the village. So, as a youth, from the perspective of youth participation, we've heard from the experience from India. Now, before our village was revitalized, it was known as a haunted village. So, I think what I got inspiration from the Indonesia experience in that I think we can turn this site into more fun experience. We can be more creative to connect with the history, and that will allow us for new history to happen in this site. So I feel lucky to be able to share our findings from the perspective of food. And also, I learned so much from the last speaker, Stefan. Hats off to you. You've learned from, you've made so much research, and I have a lot of respect for you and your team. Thank you, Yining, for sharing your comments. Indeed, a lot of this historical sites, it's possible that we can take a different perspective so that we can engage more people and the residents. And like what Yining just said, this immersive experience from this haunted house is very inspiring. I think it's a good way to engage the young people. I think in this modern age, it provides new thinking about how we can engage more people in the preservation of this site. Can I ask Professor Yan to talk to us about the research you've done in the sugar factory in Hubei? Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you to Annie. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to learn. I've learned so much this morning. My study focuses on the sugar industry, sugar factories. With the guidance of Professor Lin, I think we've done some research based on the cultural roots. So I want to talk to you about what we've done over the years. This is the 4th year of our program. In Taiwan, there are a lot of sugar factories. During the Japanese rule, there were more than 4 dozens of sugar factories. As of today, some of them are still there. The sites are still preserved, and 26 of them are being used in one way or another. So a big question to us is to choose sites that to include in our project. So what we did was we focused on how the factories operates, how they make sugar, for example, starting from the harvesting of sugarcane and then the transport through vehicles back to the factory and the processing process and how sugar is made and transported to the market. This whole process is the key, the core of the cultural, the so-called cultural roots we define for the sugar industry. The sugar industry is not just another industry. There are different aspects attached to it. There is the life of people that work in the industry. So we want to incorporate different aspects of people's life to this industry, to sugar making. So we want to combine all of that into this project. Also, besides these facilities, there are the so-called soft elements, the intangible elements, such as culture, literature, music, songs. There are a lot of related elements. So that's what we do with this cultural root project. We want to bring them all into one. So in the first year of the project, we focus on taking an inventory of all the sites in Taiwan. At first, we were concerned that it's difficult to include many of the sites because if you just put them all together, it could be confusing. So we need to set up a system and maybe do a screening based on different themes. So that's the first thing we did. We set criteria for choosing sites to be included in the project. And some of the speakers mentioned the internet. I think for the cultural root, the social media is a very important aspect. Besides taking an inventory of the sites, we also hold workshops and seminars and different kinds of meetings and exchanges. We also bring people to different banquets. We talk to each other through these meals so that we can communicate with different groups of people. And in the end, we are able to bring together people passionate about the sugar industry in Taiwan, and they become our partners. In Taiwan, there are sugar factories scattered in different areas, and in different regions, they have their unique teams, and they might interpret the sugar industry differently. For example, in Yuemei, they focus on education, and some other sites focus on reinterpretation. For example, the speaker from India talked about how sugar factory was turned into a setting for filming horror films. So that's something we can consider. So I think it's very important that we leverage the power of the internet, and there are different aspects and different groups, teams that we can bring together in this cultural root project. Some of the speakers talked about the railway for the sugar factory project. Railway also plays a key role. And I know there are a lot of enthusiasts, railway enthusiasts. I know some people are curious about the sugar factory, but they might not feel a strong connection with the factories. However, I know a lot of people feel strongly about the railways. For example, some of the local residents actually make their trip to school. They go to school on a railway, so they feel this attachment to the railways. So what we want to do is strengthen the connection between residents and the sugar factories. What we want is for visitors to not just walk the route for the sake of it. We want people to make the trip to the sugar factories on the railways. Some of the factories are not accessible by car, so visitors simply have to take the train, and this could be a very interesting experience for visitors. Also, some of the speakers talk about, like I said, turning the sugar factory into a haunted house. In Taiwan, as we revitalize the sugar factories, we run into challenges. For example, ownership is private, and some of them are owned by the government. So I'm curious about this turning sugar factories into haunted house or this heritage sites into haunted house. Do you have difficulties convincing the owners? Are there any challenges you met during the process? That's my question. Thank you, Professor Yan, for your comments and your question. How do we turn sugar factory to haunted houses? I believe we need to ask our speaker from Indonesia, Sri Shindi Indira. Do you have any comments about difficulties convincing the owners of the heritage sites?
Yes, thank you, Daphne, and also the participant who asked him the questions. Maybe it's more like sharing. As far as my concern about, I think in Indonesia we don't have any problem with giving permissions or utilize the building for haunted or horror houses as long as it gives commercial benefits, as long as it gives benefits to the local people, and also they can involve more people in the local for an opportunity for jobs, for activities, for the livelihoods of the surroundings. And I think that they are still possible, although within the educators or the preservationists, most of them are not agree with the applying this new horror things because it can cause like a trauma for some people. For example, me, because I'm not a fan of horror. So I think we need to see this as part of an attraction instead of a temporary attraction instead of making it a permanent installation, for instance, in a reused building. And then, the phenomenon is the growing of the anticipations, the growing of enthusiasms of the people are high if we relate it to the adrenaline, horror, or haunted themes. But I don't know whether any other culture in the other countries use the same or share the same thoughts or ideas about it. Thank you. I hope it's answered.
OK， 好，谢谢 Cindy。在很多就是不同世代跨域的一个文化的传承，如何让新的世代的年轻人也能够接受，然后透过不同。
different generations to express themselves, to
大家很重
reinterpret.
视的，也一直不断在探讨的一个课题。那想请教一下，线上的所有的一些相关的国际的通讯员来自远方的朋友，有没有任何的一些相关的一些意见或者是回馈，可以跟大家来做分享
Feedbacks or questions that you'd like to share for our international correspondents online?
那我们是不是可以邀请一下来自韩
So
国，来
here,
自
how
韩
about
国 Korea
from Korea,
Dr.
our
Lee?
international correspondent from Korea, Dr. Lee? Would you
would
like
you give us
to
the some
give
of
us some
comments?
comments, feedbacks, or
Yes.
questions?
We cannot hear you. Yeah. Do you speak?
Can you hear me? No?
Oh yeah, yeah, right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for
Okay.
inviting me. Yeah, it's my first attendance to ANI, and the presentation, yeah, were very insightful. So maybe next time I want to share Korean cases with you. And yeah, especially the Indonesian case is very, very impressive to me. Yeah, so it is also very difficult to harmonize the young people's participation with the industrial heritage authenticity. So maybe we can share our experiences and maybe we can make a better solution. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lee. 确实，在这个青年的世代如何让青年的共同来参与文化资产的管理跟维护的保存，不论在台湾，我们也积极的在思考有任何的一些相关的专题，或者是来让老师带着学生的共同的一些参与
including programs with schools, with universities. So here for our educators online and on-site, would you like to share some of your experiences in this regard?
So I just wanted to reply to your question earlier on about younger generations' involvement with all these cultural affairs and heritage and so on. To my experience in LFCIS, which was the cultural capital of Europe a couple of years ago, I was there, as I said, just for a day. However, I saw a lot of young people that they were involved into the activities that they were going on for a whole year, of course, but I was just there for a day. And there were teenagers up to people that they were back to their 70s, that they were involved in a lot of cultural events. You don't have, obviously, to go everywhere, I mean, because there were so many, but there were some that they were not really planned for teenagers, but there was a teenager participation there in open-air theaters and open-air cinemas and activities in the archaeological sites, for example, like ancient theater. There were a lot of young people that they were involved into all these events for the cultural capital of Europe. But this, I've seen it before in other areas as well. It's not, the lady that she did the introduction for the Indonesian thing, yeah, that was very insightful, of course. But to my experience, as far as Europe is concerned, there are a lot of young people that they get involved with not only going to concerts and so on, but going to the theaters and participating in cultural events and so on. Okay, thank you.
OK，谢谢。还有线上的朋友，或是来自我们实体的老师们有任何针对我们如何带领的年轻共同参与这个部分不管是在文化资产的一些相关的应
Observations that
用
you like to share
或者是实际
related
的
to
进入
cultural
在这个现场当
heritage,
中进一步的更多的
preservation
探索。
related to your studies and research.
OK，
Yes.
那我们明翰。
Okay, so
Okay,
Mr. Wu.
I think that I'm very happy, just because this is my first time to be an attendant. Just because last year, I'm very happy to be invited to be the international correspondent, and this time, the contact person, Ida, discussed with me what topic would be appropriate to share at this moment. I think, I only have 15 minutes. I think this railway is just a big book, so it's very difficult for me to pick up which one is better to share at this moment. But as I mentioned earlier, the Alishan Forest Railway and Cultural Heritage Office was established in 2018. It's very young, just 6 years old. And that moment, okay, why the central government would like to, support this new organization. The goal is very simple, to make this railway safer and better. And the point is to make real connection with the local, with the people. Connection, this word is very easy to pronounce, to say it, but how to make it possible? I think wow, we still have a long way to go. So, at this moment, why I try to speak and use my, my English to tell everyone is just because, as the representative of the Alishan Forest Railway, okay, in this occasion, we would like to say, we still have a lot of things to learn. And say this September, ANIH will hold a conference and a workshop in Jiayi, Alishan Forest Railway. We just welcome all the international correspondents on site and even online to join, to come to Taiwan. At that moment, I think we will be the best host to tell you that the restorations of the railway station over the past 6 years, and we would invite you to visit the station, the local shade, and even some, a very great place, just because we hope you to see the railway, to meet the local, and to share the ideas. We're looking forward to your suggestions, and we believe together we go further. Thank you very much.
谢谢明翰。明翰提到了我们透过阿里山林铁在沿线的一个聚落，我们透过来跟当地的民众有很多的很好的互动，让这一条
build
100年的铁
connections
道
with
持
the
续
local
着在
residents over
动态的
time.
运行的
So
过程
this
当中，
railway, with its
更多的一些
100-year
文化
history, it's
跟
still
当地的
very
民
much
众
alive.
所衍
It
生
is
出
still
来
very
的聚落
connected
的
to
文
the
化，
local
我们有
cultures,
这
to
个
the
9月
local
份的机会来跟
communities.
大家来
So
分
this
享，那也欢迎
September,
大家共同参与。
please
那也正好提
make
到
sure that
连
you
结
can
这件
seize
事
this
情，那蛮想
opportunity.
要跟大
So
家
back
来
to
聊
the
一
theme
下，
about
我们如何透
connections.
过连结 connection 来
About
跟把
connections,
文化
through
跟我们的人
connections,
民民众来
how
进一步
can
的连
we
结。不晓
build
得有没
stronger
有不
ties
管
between
线上或
people
是我们在
and
座的老
the
师们，可以
cultures
在这个部分可以
for
给我们一
the
些相关
topic
的建
of
议。那我们
building
请黄玉
networks
老
and
师。
connections who'd like to share.
各位好，那谢谢主
So,
持人。
greetings
我
to
是
all
中
of
原大
you.
学文化资
I
产
am
保存研究
from
中
the
心的
Zhongyuan
黄玉。大家
University and
早
from
今
the
天
Cultural
很高兴
Heritage
在这个
Preservation
机会
Center.
可以跟大家做
I
实体
am
跟
very
线上的一个
happy
交流。
that I get to
那我今
engage
天
in
听
this
的就是现
conversation
场
with all of you.
的
So listening to all the presentations, I find it quite interesting. I am now in the area of networking and building ties in East Asia heritage preservation. Today, we have heard talks that touch upon East Asia, Southeast Asia, India, Indonesia, and even Germany, as well as other sites in Europe. So we see that there are different views from different regions around the world. There are also different networks built across different disciplines and geographic regions. Here, colonial and also post-colonial and modernism are important topics as well. Heritage preservation is related to a lot of discourse we have these days. I study Japan, Korea, and last month I just came back from Korea. I also got to engage in talks with my Korean counterparts. And I think for different countries, we have to come back to understanding our own history and also how we interpret these industrial developments and the historical context. We have to understand the contemporary views. And I think for different societies, different nations, for different communities, to understand its subjectivity and also to understand its core values, these are very core. And then we talked about the younger generation. Youth will also become middle-aged and then will become the elderly. In Japan, we see a lot of these practices that involve intergenerational efforts. A lot of our societies are entering more like aging societies. So how do we take an intergenerational approach? I think this is going to be a future direction for many of us. And then about networks, we're talking about the contemporary societies, but what about the future? And then we're talking about the sustainability, the resilience of culture and culture heritage. This is all relevant to future talks. Many of the speakers, you have tackled these issues. You have a very thoughtful framework for these topics. So I think in the future we can delve deeper, focusing on Southeast Asia, on East Asia. We can have more thematic discussions, and this is my sharing.
OK，那依宁这边 ，OK，好，那依宁这边的有一些回馈。
老师，我坐着讲好了。
Okay, I'll just speak from here. Just an idea. Industrial heritage, when we talk about industry here, it's all from the past. I'm not sure about this, but are there colleagues in other countries focus on heritage that are still alive, or the factories that are still in operation, they will eventually become industrial heritage? I'm curious about that because I live in Yunlin, which is a base for industries. Many of the economy industries are actually on a decline, such as soy sauce industry or sesame oil industry. We have very unique factories for making that, and I also focus on that. So these industries are actually dying. It will cost us a lot to revive this industry. Is it possible to focus on these dying industry? They're not dead yet, but they're dying, and they could be the future industrial heritage. Can we do something before they die? Maybe do documentation or come up with narratives? I think that would work better if we were to maybe focus on this industries 30 years in the future, because back then the industry is already dead. Also, the oil industry and the sugar factories, it's difficult to revitalize these industries when they're already dead. So my suggestion is it possible to do documentation or narratives on these living but not dying industries. Thank you, Yini, for your comments. That's very valuable suggestions. In Taiwan, indeed, we have a lot of industries that are on a decline because of technological advances. And for these industries, they are ignored in this new economy. How can we preserve these industries that have cultural value? Maybe there's a way to preserve these industries so that they don't die. That's a very interesting idea. I think it's not just in Taiwan, maybe in other countries too. I wonder if you have comments or feedback for Ini in this regard.
Well, I mean, as far as as far as Europe is concerned, because I lived in various European countries before, industrial heritage is a huge part of cultural heritage in Europe. So, and also, as I said earlier, it's intergenerational as well. It really intersects across generations. So I remember back in the 80s, I was in London, and there were some old buildings that they were refurbished into nightclubs, for example. I mean, I was in my 20s. Everybody was going there. Then later on, other areas and other areas within European cities, they started, doing more or less the same thing, not turning everything into nightclubs, of course, but a lot of industrial heritage buildings, they were repurposed and converted into theaters, into cultural centers. Also, they had the restaurants, the bars, and so on. So many people from many generations, they were walking up and down all these places, and they enjoyed, the heritage. And it still goes on. This thing goes on in Europe now for decades. It's for me, I mean, I'm not 20 years old, I'm 63 right now, but it's something which is fairly common in Europe to see, all industrial heritage buildings turned into something new. The building itself is old, but the purpose is new. So for us, it's something that we see going from one country to another. You see it everywhere. So I don't know if I answered your questions, but that's what I think anyway.
OK， 好，谢谢 Mr. Costi。确实，在台湾哦，有很多老宅或是旧的建筑物，不断的有一些年轻人他们去进行活化。
For new purposes by the younger generations, and with that come commercial value. That's also common in Taiwan. Now, Ini talked about how she turned these elements, cultural elements in the military dependence village into new elements. In Taiwan, the sugar industry and a lot of other industries are being revitalized through repurposing these buildings. Now, these buildings, repurposed buildings, are more visible to visitors, and also there are tours, guided tours around these buildings. Now, in addition to the buildings, what about the industries themselves? How do we make people more aware of these industries and maybe reuse these industries? Now, I'm curious about if there's anything else you want to share. Our online speakers, maybe a speaker from Vietnam, Ms. Phan Trung Long. Is there anything else you would like to share?
Hello, thank you for inviting me to attend today's meeting, and I'm really impressed and very thankful for the information that I can gain from today's meeting. Sharing from Vietnam, I think the concept of industrial heritage is pretty new to us. We introduced the concept of industrial heritage since I remember the end of 2019. And I think the concept is attracted to a lot of young people through like our network of professional and university. And I can, maybe next time I can share the movement of awareness about industrial heritage in Vietnam, which is quite promising to my view. And since we promote the concept of industrial heritage in Vietnam, so far I think we have one PhD graduated with her dissertation on industrial heritage in Hanoi. We have another young lecturer from Hanoi University of Civil Engineering. She is doing her PhD in Belgium at this moment with the topic of industrial heritage. We also have a few master students in few architectural university in Hanoi who are doing the research on industrial heritage. So I see the kind of increasing awareness in young scholars in Vietnam about industrial heritage. We have a few other like activity which is quite awesome. In 2023, we have a big design week, the creative design week of Hanoi, organized in one factory. That is Brainwave factories in Hanoi, which is really, really impressed. And I think the concept of old factory as a heritage becomes so touchable, so visible to many people, especially the young people. And in that big event of creative festival, we have many, many young artists and artists on group. They are on contribute to make that 1 week event very successful. And I think apart from our success back in Vietnam is from ANIH, because I can also learn a lot from ANIH network and share back to our people. And we hope that we will have more correspondents from Vietnam attending ANIH very near futures. And we hope that we will have a few people attending the next workshop in Taiwan. Thank you.
谢谢，谢谢，谢谢来自越南Dr. 龙，那在最后的一个时段，我们是不是现场的来自就是曾义贤馆长，在这部分也可以给我们一些回馈的意见。
那谢谢那个大家的邀请哦，让我可以来这里呢，跟这个各个国家然后来学习。
It's a privilege to have the opportunity to learn from the experience of different countries in terms of your case studies and research. I've learned so much, and I would like to tell you a little bit about what we face, the challenges we face in the Jiufen Gold Ore Museum.
就是刚刚就是我们比较多的是怎么让大家来到文化资产，怎么让
I think the focus we talk about is engaging young people, bringing young people to learn about cultural heritage. Jiufen is a very special town in Taiwan.
作为一个文化城镇发展观光，吸引
Is
到这个
a cultural historic town that's now a tourist attraction. Actually, it's been a tourist attraction for a long time already. The speaker is having difficulty with the microphone. Something's wrong with the microphone.
那其实就会面临到一个问题
It's been a tourist attraction for a long time already. Now, the speaker from Greece talked about this already. In Greece, tourism has been an industry that's thriving for a long time. In Jiufen, we have a lot of visitors. But the challenge is, despite all these visitors, local residents, the population of local residents is shrinking. As of now, town of Jiufen has less than 1,600 residents. So there's a balance between the population of local residents and visitors, and also visitors could create inconvenience for local residents. So as a result, we don't have enough local residents to support us or to tell the local history to the visitors. So my question to colleagues from other countries is, do you face that kind of problem in terms of shrinking local residents population? Or is there suggestions for how we can attract more people to there on the site to help us carry on the culture in Jiufen? That's the biggest challenge we face. It's important for us to find a way to engage young people so that they pursue a career in the cultural preservation. I think it's important to tell them that being a cultural worker is about knowing themselves and knowing the local cluster, and to tell visitors about how the place developed. Jiufen is internationally known, and for local people or people that decide to stay in the town and become ambassadors to visitors, it's very rewarding when they can talk to international visitors. And also, we find it very important for these young people working in the local shops. We want to give them more resources to attract young people to work there. It is something we are working on. So we have tried different ways to attract young people, maybe to bring more young people to be local tour guides or work in local shops. I believe is an issue facing all countries. How do we connect culture with tourism? How can we provide more jobs and engage more young people to work in these tourist attractions so that we can carry on the local culture sustainably? So I would like to ask our speakers from other countries, what advice do you have?
I'd
like to thank all of you for your sharing. So, passing down these ideas, we have these different professionals, researchers, cultural workers doing research, foundational research, interpretation, and then expressing and showcasing these cultural heritage to the wider audience. In Taiwan, we also have a lot of these cultural tours. We really want to broaden the scope. So before we close, we'd like to also invite Dr. Kim. Dr. Kim from Korea, could you also share with you some of your insights?
Yeah. Dr. Kim?
Dr. Kim?
No. Oh, okay.
Okay, so maybe Dr. Kim is not online. Okay, so in the interest of time, we'd like to close this panel discussion. Friends online and also on site, all of our international correspondents, do you have any final comments or final conclusions? We're very happy that we have this exchange meeting. We have this discussion with friends from different countries and communities. We're able to understand, to know each other better. In the future, the Bureau of Cultural Heritage will continue to organize these online seminars and also online exchange meetings. Sorry, we cannot hear the speaker. So there's something not working with the mic. Okay.
Okay.
So once again, we're very delighted that from today's exchange meeting, we get to know many of our experts from different countries. And then in closing, once again, if you're interested in the ANIH First Railway, we'd like to invite you to our workshop in September. Okay, we have one final comment.
Sorry, me talking a lot, but I just had another thought now, which is, I mean, we're talking about industrial heritage, which of course forms part of any cultural heritage, but we also have to think about the private sector as well, because this is where the money comes from. I mean, okay, we can expect from the government to pour some kind of money or investment into preserving the heritage of old buildings and so on, but at the same time, the private sector has a huge role to play as well if they are regulated, because the private sector, of course, they can go wild, because for them they see everything as money and nothing else. However, if the industrial heritage sites can be somehow regulated and invite the private sector to do their own thing there, and I think that it would be a win-win situation, like the public-private partnerships. We have millions of examples like this, because for me, that's the way that I see all these things going forward, like the Alishan Railway, which is wonderful. I've been there a couple of times myself. But at the same time, you need the private sector to inject the money into the venues and to invite the people as well, because this is how they create interest. The government itself cannot provide excitement. It's the private sector that provides the excitement for the people to come in and enjoy whatever happens in this famous Alishan Railway. I mean, that's how I see it anyway, because I come from the private sector. So, in my humble opinion, I think that, you know, the involvement, however, as I said earlier, the private sector has to be regulated. Otherwise, they're gonna run wild. But if they're regulated, I think that we're gonna have win-win situations in various industrial sites that we see here. And because of the money involved, they will be better preserved, in my opinion, as well. I don't know, maybe I'm naive, but that's what I've seen before, as far as Europe is concerned. I mean, yeah, they open the warehouses, and then they refurbish them, okay, fine. That was part of the government initiatives, and then they invited the private sector to come in and do whatever. You know, but that was regulated. You say, yeah, we're going to open 5 shops that are going to be coffee shops, another 10 shops that are going to be restaurants. We need 5 shops that are going to be clothing shops, and so on and so on and so on. So everything was very well regulated. There is competition, of course, but that's healthy competition. That's the idea. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kosti. 这个部分我有给一点回馈，他有提到有关于私人的企业如何共同的来参与这个文化保存哦。在台湾。 Here in
Taiwan, for the Alishan Railway project, they have invited the Lalian Travel Agency. The travel agency has brought in these new cabins, these new carriages, and they are providing brand new tour experience. So here we see these very innovative coaches, carriages attached to the railway now. We have like Hinoki carriages. It provides a brand new experience for the participants to experience the railway. Just not long ago, I talked with the travel agency, the head of the travel agency, and they told us that along the railway, there are a lot of these native ferns, these plants, ferns, and they believe that this is another a good opportunity for these tourists to understand understand the natural landscape of the Alishan Forest Railway. So in the future, the travel agency is planning on these certain stations to build a fern museum, like a fern museum, so that the passengers, the tourists can better understand these local ecological landscape. And this is a case study that I would like to share with you about private sector involvement. And there are also a lot of repurposing of historical sites, historical houses. We really want to also call on the private sector to engage further, whether to engage young people in refurbishing these old houses or take part in these different activities. I think the government in Taiwan is very active in encouraging these different venues, these different approaches in participation. And this is my very brief feedback. So in the interest of time, I understand that we still have a lot of questions, we still have a lot of comments, but I believe that in the future, we're going to have more online seminars. We also have the workshop in September. And I would like to encourage all of you to continue to participate, to engage in these discussions. Once again, thank you for taking part in today's International Correspondents Exchange meeting. Thank you for your attention. I'd like to thank Dr. Lai and also all of our speakers online and on site. We'd also like to thank your very enthusiastic participation. We have our international correspondents, our young scholars. We'd like to thank all of you. We'd also like to thank the speakers for your presentation. In closing, we have a QR code here on the screen for a post-event survey. With your feedback, we can continue to improve, to make our events better. So here I'd like to invite you to scan the QR code. And here we conclude the 2025 ANI International Correspondents Exchange meeting. Thank you all for your participation.
Oh, this is working.